I'm going to show you how I changed out my exhaust blower motor on my pellet stove and what a nightmare it was. So hopefully you watch this video before and it'll save you some trouble, or maybe if I watch this video later and I forgot how to do it, then I can come back years later and remember why I did it this way. Okay, so here's you can see I've got it working. There's no doubt about that. See how quiet that is? Now, before, what happened is, pasa po mi cholita, pero no vienes por acá. What had happened is, this old motor, I'll show you the old one, and I'll show you the problem. This is the problem. Now, this pellet stove is the ps35, the heatilator ps35. I've had this for, I don't know, 8 to 10 years. It's not been 10 years, but it's been longer than 8. So it's a good pellet stove. I like it. And in the instruction manual, they tell you that you're supposed to take these side panels off, which I took the side panels off. They're supposed to clean that out. Okay, I've been cleaning out where the ashes burn. You know, we clean this out every week or whatever, but I just totally spaced, over the years, I just totally spaced it, and I forgot to vacuum out and clean out in this inside here. So I'm gonna unplug the stove right now. You already see that it's working. Okay, I'm gonna unplug the stove. That way when I talk and if I put my finger somewhere, it doesn't get chopped off. So how this works is, it has the little computer in here, and whenever the computer senses that the stove has been plugged in, it's going to turn that exhaust blower on for like 15 minutes when it's on or off. So my problem was that motor was not coming on, and when I got in here the other day, I had noticed that this one was just filthy. Just had all this junk and dust and everything, and it also make a loud squeaking, just horrible, annoying sound. So finally this one just bit the dust. And how I knew the motor was bad is I went through and all these little snap discs, I pushed them with my fingers and tried to reset them. And I found out that they were fine. I even looked at the wiring diagram. But what really told me was I had the pellet stove plugged in, and I put this tester here. It's just my electrical tester. And when there's power to it, it's going to beep. And so these wires were beeping, so I knew there was power to it. So I knew that there was something wrong with the motor. So it's not beeping right now because there's no power to it. But the problem I have with this motor is, it's a new motor. It costs like $80. I got it off Amazon. The problem is, it's not whoever made the motor, it's these idiots who made the pellet stove. And what they did, you see these little screws right here? These little short screws, they go up into here, okay? You can see I have all the room in the world. You know, I could put like a 2-inch screw up there. The problem is, when you go to take this on and off, see how they have the slotted screw holes? Now in theory, you're supposed to be able to put the screw right there, and then you're supposed to twist it, and then the screw's supposed to end up right there. That's how it holds it in. But it doesn't work on this one. Okay, now even though it was screwed on with these little tiny baby screws, I couldn't get it back on, because another problem is this gasket, this little piece of garbage gasket they give you. It's just, I mean, you like touch it and it just starts falling to pieces. And I know why that gasket's there. It's to keep the smoke from coming out of this separation right here and getting into your house. So since I couldn't get the stupid gasket on it, I didn't want to put it on broken and then have part of it sealed and part of it unsealed. What I did is I just took this, my high temperature, let me see if I can roll it around so you can see what it is. 500 Fahrenheit RTV high heat silicone sealant. You can get this at Home Depot or other hardware stores. So I just took and around the new motor, I'll just show you right here. I just took and I sealed all around that. So now at least I have some kind of seal to keep the smoke from spilling over. I'm not too worried about it. I probably could have left it off. And I think it would be tight enough because I don't think the smoke would have gotten in the house anyway because all this air, it's going out the flue. But I thought, well, I have the high temperature silicone, so I'll just put it on there. The only problem is whenever I go to take this motor off again, if I don't remember that I actually put silicone sealant on there, it's not going to come off very easy. So probably what I'll have to do if I ever want to take it off is take the screws out and then just jam it right here with the screwdriver and pry it till it pops off. So now you're asking me, okay, well, tell me what screws you use then, because you see I used longer screws. So now when I put the longer screws in, I left them hanging out, and then I could get my, I think there's like 6, let's count the screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's 6 screws. Okay, so I had them hanging out of the housing, and then I was able to put the motor up on there. Now it doesn't rotate all the way like it's supposed to. It doesn't rotate into there. It just stops right there. And I like these screws better because they have that larger head, and so that's gonna grab and hold better than these little tiny pieces of junk that the pellet stove came with. You see the difference in length there? I mean, it's already tight enough in here with your fingers, and try to get your little nubby screwdriver in there. I had to use a little nubby screwdriver because I can't get all of them. And then on some of them I also had to use this flexible bit extender, okay? Now if you don't have a flexible bit extender, you're probably going to have to take off this convection blower motor. See that little thumb screw right there? You probably have to take that off and get this motor out of here so you can get here and work on these screws. And I even had to take the panel off on the other side and come from the other side. So it was a huge nightmare trying to get this apart, especially with this junky gasket. It's like, come on, like, I mean, why can't you make a gasket that's not just going to fracture to pieces whenever I touch it? But anyway, it's on now. Pellet stove's working. And now we can keep burning our pellets. So now let me tell you this. Where did I find these screws? I got lucky and I had them in my electrical box. I just had them. I don't even know what size they are, okay? So if this is you, what you should do before you start this project, you should take this screw out of your pellet stove. Take this out, go to the hardware store, and put this in the little, you know how that when you go to check what size screws there are, they have the little hole you can thread it into. Thread it in there. Get you a machine screw like this. My guess is this is an 8/32. And we might even, my guess is it's an 8/32. Because on the wire strippers, sometimes you can thread it in and it'll tell you what size screw it is. Let me see for sure here. And you know what, I mean, I can't really thread it in there because it doesn't even have the size markings, but if I remember right, this at 8/32, but go to your hardware store and check out for sure. But I definitely recommend getting longer screws. I just got lucky and I had these in my toolbox. But if it's the middle of the night and you're trying to change this out and you don't have these screws, that's why I say watch this video first, then go get the longer screws. And I mean, unless you have better mechanical abilities than I do and you have better tools, I don't know, but that's the only way I could get it on. So I hope that helps.